Most actors toil away in obscurity for years, waiting for the chance to finally burst into the limelight. Not every big break, however, is as satisfying as it seems at the start. Sometimes a star gets fed up with their role. Then again, sometimes actors just want to see their characters bite the dust in the most epic way possible. What more can an actor hope for but a memorable on-screen death? Harrison Ford, Star Wars. Few roles are more associated with Harrison Ford than the one that started it all, Han Solo. Despite the fact that the role launched his blockbuster career, Ford initially wanted George Lucas to kill Solo off during Return of the Jedi. He felt that Solo's sacrifice would lend emotional weight to the story.
And I thought that the best utility of the character would be for him to sacrifice himself to a high ideal.
But according to Ford, Lucas was reluctant to put a dent in Han Solo action figure sales, so he kept Solo alive. That let the scoundrel build a family with Leia within the Star Wars universe. Meanwhile, those of us stuck in the real, crappier universe got 40 years of Han Solo action figures.
Why did you do it? The Empire tricked me, Han! I had no choice! Prepare for freezing! Long live the Alliance! Goodbye, my friend!
Of course, Ford got his wish in 2015's The Force Awakens, going off to that great big moisture farm in the sky. Samuel L. Jackson, Deep Blue Sea. Deep Blue Sea is one of those movies that came together in the right place at the right time. If it hadn't hit right before the flood of a giant monster schlockfest tearing up the Sci-Fi Channel in the early 2000s, director Renny Harlin's goofy monster romp probably wouldn't have made it onto the big screen. Now, it's a guilty pleasure chock full of sharks and truly poetic dialogue.
You ate my bird.
When Harlin initially contacted actor Samuel L. Jackson, he offered Jackson the role that ended up going to LL Cool J, Sherman Preacher Dudley. Jackson declined, so Harlin created the character of Russell Franklin specifically for him. As soon as he read Franklin's death scene, Jackson was on board. According to the DVD commentary, the actor relished the opportunity to die in dramatic, horror movie fashion, saying, quote, "I've done a lot of different things in movies, but nothing like what happens to me in this one," end quote. His character's death truly is one of the most memorable in recent cinematic history, as well as something of a jab at the cinematic trope of blowhard heroic speeches.
We're gonna seal off this.
Leonard Nimoy, Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan. Few characters are more widely recognized than Leonard Nimoy's Spock. Starting with the original Star Trek series, Spock has had a storied sci-fi career, appearing on episodes of The Next Generation as well as 8 Star Trek movies, from Star Trek the Motion Picture all the way to Star Trek Into Darkness. However, the half-human, half-Vulcan's run nearly ended before his cinematic journey really started. After the first Trek film, Nimoy wanted to set aside the role indefinitely, if not permanently. To convince Nimoy to sign on for Wrath of Khan, Paramount producer Harve Bennett and screenwriter Jack Sowards offered the actor a juicy death sequence. Ironically, it was Spock's death that actually kept Nimoy in the Star Trek universe. Nimoy enjoyed his last hurrah as Spock so much that he decided to come back for further installments, and even directed Star Trek III: The Search for Spock and Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. Isaac Hayes, South Park. No one can deny the power of Chef. For 9 seasons, Isaac Hayes' rich baritone made the lusty school lunch prepper into one of the show's breakout characters. But South Park's unique brand of satire went a little too far for Hayes' taste in 2005. The actor and musician, a Scientologist, was reportedly offended by their critique of the controversial religious sect in the episode Trapped in the Closet, which mocked the religion's biggest names such as Tom Cruise and John Travolta, as well as the group's unusual views.
What's going on?
Tom Cruise won't come out of the closet.
What?
Just leave me alone.
Well, we can't leave you alone because you won't come out of the closet.
The episode was apparently the straw that broke Hayes' back, because the musician told Stone and Parker he wanted out of his contract due to South Park's growing insensitivity towards personal spiritual beliefs. The character met a fittingly over-the-top end on the show, as Chef was killed after being struck by lightning, impaled on a branch, and attacked by a mountain lion and a bear. It was a classically South Park end to a classic character.
Oh my God, they killed Chef.
Dean Norris, Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is one of those shows that came out of nowhere and blew everybody away, thanks in no small part to Bryan Cranston's performance as Walter White.
A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
Aside from its intriguing premise and tightly coiled suspense, the show's true heart came from a host of offbeat characters that gave the morally gray dramedy a rabid fan base. Of those, Dean Norris's Hank Schrader rapidly became a fan favorite. As the series progressed to its 5th and final season, though, Norris's thespian cred grew and acting gigs abounded. In order to potentially start the next phase of his career, the actor asked the producers if they could take out his character halfway through the last season, to which they replied, "We kind of need you for the last 8 episodes. We've been building that up for the last 5 years." In light of the series' shocking conclusion, Norris was ultimately glad they convinced him to stay. So are the show's fans. Sophie Turner, Game of Thrones. Yes, it's true. Sansa Stark is still alive and kicking on Game of Thrones, at least as of the making of this video. But Sophie Turner isn't just ready for her character to die, she's actively seeking it out. As a member of the powerful Stark clan, Sansa grew from a misty-eyed tween into a resilient young heiress right before our eyes. Sophie Turner's already moving in a new direction as Jean Grey in the X-Men universe, among other film roles. And the actress has expressed her desire for the eldest Stark daughter to follow in her family's footsteps. In an interview, Turner joked, "If you're on Game of Thrones and you don't have a cool death scene, then what's the point? Ain't that the truth?" Fortunately for Sansa, the HBO juggernaut is preparing to take its final bow, so she may get her wish after all. At the same time, writer George R.R. Martin's final books have yet to arrive on store shelves, so we don't have any official word on the fate of Miss Stark, assuming the series stays remotely close to the books from here on out anyway. When it comes to Game of Thrones, well,
you know nothing.
Sean Bean, Lord of the Rings. The Fellowship of the Ring reintroduced J.R.R. Tolkien's classic fantasy series to the general public in a major way, and a lot of the film's beauty came from the epic filming locations in the mountains of New Zealand. The problem was, Sean Bean, who played Boromir, doesn't like flying. When he realized that Peter Jackson intended to shoot extensively on remote, rocky locales around New Zealand, he decided to get there the old-fashioned way.
And then they dropped me off there, and I'd sort of hike another half a mile, you know, just because I didn't want to get on the helicopter.
Basically, Bean would put on his Boromir costume and trek up the mountain on foot to reach the set. As many times as the actor has died on screen, he said that the death of Boromir in Fellowship was easily his favorite. But come on, it's gotta be Goldeneye. Everyone knows it. Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.